Hi everyone, today we have a new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from HobbyBoss, and it's actually a kit in a smaller scale. It's a 1/48 scale, and we get the tank model, so it's a German Panzerkampfwagen 4 Ausf.J medium tank. I guess it does not require any extra introduction. Nevertheless, in 1/48 scale it might be an interesting thing to copy. And now what I have here on the table, it's something what was bought with your help, with your donations. So first of all, huge thank you for helping me with this. And of course, another reminder is that it means that this kit is exactly the same stuff if you order it from any good model shop. For example, Modelimex has some kits, and that's the final shape. Nothing will change, and we will be checking it together. So first of all, box is rather standard for this type of release from HobbyBoss. Here is comparison with my hand. The kit number is written on the side, at least it's 48482, and here we also have some dimensions, by the way. The length will be 197 millimeters. I guess it's together with a barrel. And if I flip over this box, here we have the short history note and one of the marking options, while on the opposite side you'll find another choice of the markings and also the history information in Chinese, I guess. So that's a top opening box, and I just need to pick this top cover somehow because it's a bit of a tight fitment. And inside you will find also some brochures on the top, and then we have the plastic sprues which are separated, as you can see, into several compartments, and that's what we will be talking about today. So just give me a second to open the first one because it's a sealed plastic bag. And while I'm cutting through it, I can remind you that you can find some other 1/48 scale releases from HobbyBoss on the same YouTube channel which you are watching right now, and they are quite good because they offer you a lot of features for reasonably priced money. So that's why it's a good idea to check them out. So first of all, here we have the top hull cover. As you can see, that's the thing which is wrapped in the foam, and I just need to cut through this foam in order to show you what we are actually getting here and why it is good packaging. Usually they install or use this thing for protecting the tender parts, obviously, so this kit is not an exclusion from this rule. And wasn't actually the top hull panel, it's the side shells which are connected together with these bars. Maybe I'll place them like that and you will be able to see it even closer. So what is interesting here is that we have the Pioneer tools pre-molded, so be careful with this thing because it will require some precise painting, obviously with the sharp pointed brush. And we also have really good surface details. Here you can see them from the opposite side. Well, here we don't have much, which is quite surprising. A lot of push marks, and unlike some other brands, for example MiniArt, they do not HobbyBoss did not place any features here, but at least the glacis plate looks fine, and I think it's okay for 1/48 scale kit. Next we continue with another plastic sprue, and again we have the foam wrapping, so I guess there are more of the tender parts, and maybe these are actually the side mounts for the shortened panels, because as you remember on the box art this tank was depicted with this panel. So here is what I'm talking about, and I just need to zoom out a bit so that you can understand what I'm talking about here. And if I slip over this foam cover, so we have here exactly what I was talking about. So just give me a moment. Here it is. So you can see the shortened panels, these are molded in plastic. I think it's more than okay, especially considering that you get them in the standard package. Well, of course the P parts would be even better, but here we get them as the plastic parts. Here you can see also the side mounts. Here are some panels for the turret, and also here we have some turret panels as well, and some Pioneer tools are placed here and there. Well, obviously the molding quality is as good as on the previous sprue, so here I don't have anything to complain about, and it's just a matter of getting those parts together. And as for the shortened panels, I think plastic might be actually handy because you can replicate the battle damage. You can also do some scratches and bendings, and for some models it's just easier to work this way, so that's why I'm saying that it might be a good thing given in this scale. Next, I've opened the third plastic sprue. This one was also wrapped in the foam because here we get this thin parts in this area. We also get some parts for the turret. Here is the rear armor wall together with some suspension parts. This is the stowage box for the turret, and the cover is molded separately, by the way, but it doesn't mean that you can open it. It's just molded separately, just like on the real thing. And we have some hatches molded separately, so at least this should be positionable. And overall molding quality looks decent, so here I don't have any complaints. And the only thing which is required from you is to do some dry fitment, because, well, even though the kit is quite modern and there are some guiding elements, I would rather still check everything that it fits precisely and you get a nice result, because model should be quite large, so that's why it is important to do the double checking. Next sprue is actually provided in two pieces, because here, as you can guess, we get the drivetrain and track parts. So as you can see, these are plastic tracks, which are more than welcome even in this scale, because such things are easier to assemble, easier to paint, and the final result is a bit more convincing. Also here we have the road wheels, so I guess we can zoom in into those road wheels together with the drive sprockets, and you can notice that the drive sprockets actually have the attachment points right on the teeth. That's how it should be, and such design should be easier to work, and I always appreciate when manufacturer actually makes it in the proper way, because it preserves the drive sprockets. It helps you to avoid the unnecessary damaging of the teeth, because later it's just really difficult to repair the damage done to those parts. And here, by the way, you can see also the suspension bogies. So these ones are molded as separate parts. You just need to combine them with the road wheels. And as you can guess, the tracks and the road wheels assembly will take some time, so be ready for this. It might be a bit tedious, but the final result will be absolutely worth it, especially in 1/48 scale again. Here we continue with the top hull section. As you can see, it is molded without the hatches because we saw them earlier. And also here from the opposite side, you can see that we do not have that much, because this is not an interior kit, unfortunately, because HobbyBoss or Trumpeter, they actually have some interior kits in 1/48 scale, but this one is not the case, so do not expect much here. Next, we continue with the lower hull section. So as you remember, we have the rear armor wall molded separately, but what is interesting is that here you still get the wall, which is actually housing the separately molded part. Here you can see also the floor panel. These are the side panels, and again inside is the empty, but still it's quite nice to get this part as a single piece element, because you get the right alignment, and it also means that the whole assembly process will be a bit quicker and easier. Next, I'm opening another plastic bag, and here we have the top turret section. So just give me a moment. I'll show it in a second. Here it is. And again, pretty much the same approach to the design. It means that we have these separate hatches. Also here, as you remember, we will be having the stowage box, and of course the shorts and panels will have to be installed as well. I wonder, yeah, probably those tabs from all of the three ends, they will have to be cut off, but that's not such a difficult task to do. And then we have the vinyl polycaps. I guess those are not requiring to be opened, because those are just typical polycaps which are used for the suspension. What might be worth opening is the decal sheet, so just give me a second to open it, and we will take a closer look together. As you remember, we have several marking options here, so that's also quite cool. I just need to cut through the sticky tape here, which is holding the backing paper, and this is not such a smart solution, but from the other side, or from the other point of view, it actually helps to avoid the slipping of the backing paper. And here, by the way, you can see those symbols, so they are looking quite nice. Usually I do not have any issues with the HobbyBoss decals, so I hope that this one is not an exclusion from the rule. Next, we continue with the brochures which are included here. So first one is printed in color, and this is actually the small ad. And as you can see here, we have the Pioneer tools. Also, we have the pictures of these main differences in the hull area. So overall, it looks quite nice, and obviously 3D images are good, but it might be also a nice idea to find some reference images if you have some books or maybe some interesting websites. In case you wonder how the marking guide looks like, here is the marking guide for the first marking option. And then we continue with the second and third. So the winter camouflage is also here, and obviously I would prefer to choose the winter camouflage because this one gives you a bit more space for some experiments with the weathering and paint shading and fading and this kind of stuff. So next we continue with the assembly manual. This one is black and white. We have also some safety devices. Next we continue with the parts map, and here is the assembly process starts with the lower hull section. These are the separate hull panels. Well, not exactly, because we have only the rear armor wall, as you remember, and then we start working on the suspension and also some minor external bits and tools. Here we continue with the drive sprocket. As you can see, the vinyl polycaps are inserted here and there. Next we continue with the tracks. And by the way, the spare tracks will be also the plastic spare tracks. Here we have the side shelves, as you remember. And then we start working on the top hull cover. So there are also some parts to be installed, including these shirts and supports. And then you install the shirts separately. Obviously, it's a great idea to paint the main hull separately before installing the shirts, because later it will be difficult to reach the areas behind them. Here we have the main barrel. So muzzle brake is assembled out of two hulls, which is not great. So it might be a good idea to search for 1/48 scale metal replacement. And here we continue with more of the turret assembly. And the shirts and panels installed, the stowage box, and then the turret going onto the tank. And here you can see the final view. So overall, this model looks great. The price, as I said, is quite reasonable. It should be around $20 US. And of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion. So what do you think about such release? Do not forget to write it here in the comment section below. And I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.